Deccan Herald, 5th of February 2024, before a Chinese espionage ship arrives in the Maldives, India dispatches a submarine to Sri Lanka. As part of her strategy to dominate the Indian Ocean region and wage an all-out war against civilized nations from a hegemonic, uncivilized, and communist China, China has been entangling India's smaller neighbors in debt. The Sri Lankan Navy gave the Indian Navy's diesel-electric submarine, INS Karanj, a formal welcome when it landed at the Colombo Port on Saturday. Santosh Jha, the envoy of New Delhi to Colombo, went to the submarine and spoke with Commander Arunabh, the commanding officer, and his crew. About 100 Sri Lankan Navy troops who had been nominated were briefed about the submarine. Later, the commanding officer visited Rear Admiral Saman Perera, the commander of the Sri Lankan Navy's Western Naval Area. The Indian High Commission in the capital of Sri Lanka sent a press release stating that the submarine will leave the Colombo port on Monday. The Indian Navy dispatched the submarine to Colombo on the eve of Sri Lanka's Independence Day. This action appears to have drawn attention to India's position as the region's leading security supplier. It sent a message to China's People's Liberation Army Navy, PLA Navy, which has recently upped its maritime operations in India's naval neighborhood. Before the Chinese PLA Navy's research vessel, Xiangyang Hong 3, arrived in Mali, the INS Karanj arrived at the Colombo port. Despite India's security worries, the Maldivian government of President Mohamed Mutsu on January 23 granted Beijing's diplomatic request to allow the research vessel to dock at the Maldives' major port. On January 16, the Xiangyang Hong 3 sailed from Sanya Port in southern China. On February 8, it is anticipated to arrive at Mali. The Chinese PLA Navy uses its research vessels to monitor missiles or satellites test-fired from nearby locations, monitor military installations in neighboring countries, conduct hydrographic surveys, and map underwater routes for its submarines. When Yuan Wang 5 and Xi'an 6, two Chinese PLA Navy research vessels were permitted to dock at the island nation's ports in August 2022 and October 2023, respectively, New Delhi expressed its worries to the Sri Lankan authorities. The administration of President Ranil Wickremesinghe has lately decided to bar Chinese research vessels from using Sri Lankan ports or from operating in the nation's exclusive economic zone for 1 year. Beijing's response has been to take advantage of its cordial ties with Mutsu's government in Mali, choosing to dock Chinese PLA Navy research vessels in the Maldives ports. After Mutsu became the Maldives president and started pushing the island nation toward China, New Delhi's relations with Mali saw turbulent times. This represented a departure from the India First policy of his predecessor, Ibrahim Mohammed Suli, which saw India as the Maldives' preferred development partner. Moreover, Mutsu forced New Delhi to pledge to remove every member of its armed forces stationed in the Maldives. These employees' primary responsibilities were flying and maintaining the helicopters and airplanes India offered for emergency medical evacuations and humanitarian relief efforts from the nation's far-flung islands. Concerns about China constructing an ocean observatory at Makunyatu in the Maldives are also present in India. A video that appeared to show armed Indian Coast Guard personnel on board 3 Maldivian fishing vessels further strained relations between Mali and New Delhi. The government of Mutsu requested an explanation for the occurrence from New Delhi. On March 10, 2021, the Indian Navy commissioned the 3rd Calvary-class submarine, INS Karanj. Since its commissioning, this is the INS Karanj's first international port call. Before this, in June 2023, on the occasion of the International Day of Yoga, Colombo was visited by another submarine of the Calvary class, the INS Vijayar. The INS Karanj's stop at the Colombo port is known as an operational turnaround, OTR, where the submarine will restock on supplies and fuel.